2025 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Okay. This meeting and / hearings of the Conservation Commission will be held in person at the Town Hall Meeting Room at the second floor. Members of the public are welcome to attend. Please note that while an option for remote attendance is also being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if we have technical issues that interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on the agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. Okay, so do a roll call. Rob Sheehan.
Present.
Okay. Bill Boyven.
Present.
Indra Deb.
Present.
Kent Moffett. He's apparently absent. Is he going to be absent?
No,
He may
I
waltz.
think we're expecting him. He's probably just
Okay.
a couple of minutes
That's
late.
all right. Okay. And Sarah Walensky, I know she's absent tonight. And Ed Laturco, he's absent tonight. We have an associate commissioner, Sadie Backstrom. Is she expected?
We haven't heard either way.
She may have said something a couple of weeks ago, but not recently. I'm
Okay,
not
she's
sure.
absent for now.
Absent for now.
Okay. And the chair, Larry Cohen, is here for the record. All right. All right, so the first item is public comment. If anyone is here for a public comment for something not on the agenda, we're happy to hear from you. Is there anybody online that would like to speak about this? Something not on the agenda? I don't think so. No. All right. Okay, the record should show that there was no one here for the public comment period. Were the minutes of May 8th ready for approval?
Yes.
Okay, did you look at them?
Yep, I made a few
Okay.
comments.
Okay. Anything to discuss?
Nope.
All right, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 8th, 2025?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 400. The minutes of May 22nd,
Not yet.
they weren't ready yet, right?
Not ready yet.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll skip down to item 4. Notice is given that the commission will hold a public meeting, during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Eileen Power for a proposed generator within a bordering land subject to flooding, a riverfront area, and the buffer to a bordering vegetative wetlands. This applicant is located at 29 Maud Graham Circle in Burlington, and the commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14, and you may obtain a copy of this particular application by emailing conservation@burlington.org. Is there someone here for 29 Maud Graham?
Yeah.
Oh, come on up. Great. All right, so the way this works, you get to speak first, but first you introduce yourself, state your place of residence.
Okay.
And then you can just say whatever you'd like.
Okay. Eileen Power, we live at 29 Maud Graham Circle. My husband John is here, and we want to install a standalone generator so that if we lose power, we can still maintain the sump pump on the property so that the basement doesn't flood.
Good reasoning.
Yeah.
Okay, Lucy or Eileen, some comments on this one?
This one came in front of us. Originally, they were wanting to install it at the ground level.
Right.
When I reviewed the building permit, I said, oh my goodness, this is in the flood zone.
Yep.
We should put it on the ground. Because if it's flooding, the
Right.
generator's not going to work. They're proposing to put it on Goodness, I don't have the dimensions in front of me. Do you have them in front of you?
It's a 5 by 4 foot cement.
5 by 4, right.
Yep, and then it goes on a bracket, so I think this generator's going to sit about 36 inches off the ground.
The cement pad itself is proposed to be 6 inches thick. If that were to be level with the ground, I believe this would be considered de minimis.
Okay, let's see if there's any comments, and then we'll move from there. Rob, any comments or questions on this?
No, it sounds pretty standard.
All right. Kent Moffett is here for the record. Do you have any?
Nothing.
No? Indra? No. Bill?
Is this gas-powered, the generator? Natural gas, or how is it going to be?
Yes.
Okay, I have the exact same,
Yes.
I have the exact same one at my house.
Okay.
I'll tell you, it works very well, because ever since I put it in, it's never had to come
Well,
on,
that's what I'm hoping.
Except for the test.
except for that once a week, it runs for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to be clear, is this pad you're putting it on at ground level or above ground level?
At ground level.
Oh, it's at ground level.
got it.
So,
So, the ground sits here, and then it will sit, my understanding is it'll be 6 inches up from the ground,
6 inches up from the
and
ground?
then the bracket will sit on top
Yeah,
of that.
right, okay, just want to be clear.
Yeah.
So, Lucy,
The wording.
so this is 4 by 5, filling 6 inches, and I assume this is well under the floodplain elevation?
I believe so, yeah. Underneath it? Yes.
So,
I always have trouble with that,
Yeah,
too.
with that wording. Confused me.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would be filling floodplain.
it
That's-
would be filling a floodplain.
Yes.
So this is pretty small. So is the question, 6 inches into the filling a floodplain, is this de minimis? I'm not sure that there's an area to really compensate on the site. It's a pretty flat site.
Well, I'm
It's
thinking
also-
I just did just there. I think it's 10, if it's 4 by 5 by
Yeah.
basically half a foot, it would be 10 cubic feet.
My understanding of the site is that all of it, or most, if not all of it, is within the floodplain already, so. And it would also be 10 cubic feet of compensatory storage, if so, which is quite negligible.
All right, so it sounds like you're saying this is kind of a de minimis situation,
I would-
like a helical footing or something like that.
That's the approach
Yes.
Lucy is taking. Yeah, that's the approach we're taking. Yes.
Okay, so that's sort of the staff position.
Yep.
All right, any discussion by anyone on the left here? Bill or anyone?
No, looking at the drawing, the entire lot is below the floodplain, so there's no way they could create any more floodplain on the site anyway. so,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Rob? Okay, anyone else want to comment on this? Okay, so we have a negative conditional determination, which puts in place a few conditions that says there's, well, if adhered to, basically says we don't see a problem. So we're first
Mr. Chair?
going to quickly review it, then we'll vote it up for you, and you'll be all set.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hang on.
Lucy or Eileen?
Yeah,
Bobby will-
I just didn't know I was sharing it, so I just wasn't quite ready.
Okay.
Let me try that again. Where is it? Somebody says, that's a plant list.
yeah.
You don't want that. Don't say.
There it is. Oh, yeah.
Here we go. All right, you might have to just make it bigger for everybody. Do you want to read it out, or shall I?
You are welcome to.
Okay, so, as Lucy explained, Ms. Power, the applicant proposed to install a generator atop a 58-inch by 35 wide by 6-inch deep cement pad, approximately 5 feet from the left side of the house. This is highlighted just because I wasn't 100% clear, and I'm not sure Lucy was at the time, about the existing elevation of the soil would be restored. So that's not quite right. The pad will be 6 inches above the, right, we're saying?
Right.
Existing elevation, something like that. The work was located within bordering land subject to flooding. BLSF, also known as the theme of 100-year floodplain, riverfront area, and the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The entire property is within the bordering vegetated wetlands with the base flood elevation at 128.3. It's approximately 70 feet from Sandy Brook in riverfront area, an existing landscaped area. and the generator itself will be elevated 30 inches from the top of the concrete pad. The Commission found that the amount of floodplain fill created by the concrete pad would be de minimis and will not cause an increase nor contribute incrementally to an increase in the horizontal extent or level of flood. Sorry, I'm covering a word there. Flood waters during peak flows, the generator will be above the flood elevation. Additionally, because the entire lot is flat with a high water table, floodplain compensation would not be feasible. I'm actually going to remove that because that's, I should have noted that, sorry. The Commission voted to issue a negative determination of applicability with conditions as noted. The conditions are that the decision is only for the work we have described tonight and described herein. Anything else means you need to come back and just check with us. Concrete pad shall be installed on level ground, and the generator shall be attached thereto so that the flood waters can flow beneath the generator unimpeded. The generator shall be elevated, I'm going to bold this, generator shall be elevated at least 1 foot above ground elevation so that it is above the flood elevation. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways shall be allowed. This is going to be a very quick project, so I don't anticipate anything will happen.
Right.
No filling or grading of the property under this decision, so only the pad and nothing else. And then members of the Commission have the right to just check on it, but it's probably going to be done in an afternoon, I would assume.
I would think so, yeah.
So not much to check on. So in that case, we wouldn't think that erosion control is required or something like that.
Yeah, these are minimal conditions really for something like this. Do you have any questions at all?
Nope.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We appreciate you actually filing with us to get it all correct.
Yeah, want to do it the right way.
Okay, so could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the project at 29 Wadgram Circle under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. You're all set?
All right, so then I get paperwork, official paperwork, and then I can reach out to the
Right, you will
company?
get official paperwork. It's dated June 17th now, what you had in front of you, the draft, so it will be issued on the 17th, that's a Tuesday. If you prefer to come and pick it up, you can tell us that now and we'll have it ready.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Otherwise, it'll just be mailed and then you can get going.
Okay,
We'll sign off on the building.
And we'll sign off on the building permit, exactly.
all right, perfect.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very
with the
much.
project. Thank you.
I just want to comment here that on the drawing, it says the floodplain elevation was 129 in 2006, the date of the drawing. So it's actually gone down in the 25 years since then.
Had you,
No,
did you
25, not 25,
check the
19,
newest?
whatever,
Yeah.
19 years since then. So the new map is actually
a little bit lower
a
there?
little bit lower. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so item 5 is a continued public hearing, notice of intent for Middlesex Turnpike and Bedford Street. The Town of Burlington Engineering Department would like to replace a gravity sewer. It is a DEP file number 122-721. Anyone here for that one?
Me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so again, introduce yourself, who you're with, and you can say something if you want.
Yeah, my name is Gage Moore, and I'm here on behalf of the Town of Burlington's Engineering Division. We have a proposed project to replace about 310 feet of gravity sewer. We've tried to replace it through some lining and some other various techniques, but we've been unable to. So we're going to have to open trench, excavate the pipe, relay it as a 12-inch PVC pipe. And as part of this, due to the high groundwater, we'll have to do some dewatering on site, which I believe is what triggers our filing of this NOI, because we're going to be temporarily disturbing bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Okay. Eileen or Lucy, where are we with this one?
Where we are is that they presented information last week, and the commission was generally in agreement that they had no issues with the project, nor did they ask them for any additional information. So we went ahead and drafted a order of conditions and a bylaw permit, and it's okay. I was afraid a lot of things got edited today, but I don't think that was one of them. So if you're still in agreement, we can present the draft.
Does this gentleman have a copy of the draft?
I do not.
Well, he doesn't have a copy, but Megan saw it.
Megan did, yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so Megan saw it, and so,
And she said it looks okay. So
Yep,
okay.
she went through it.
That's good to know.
Megan's the boss. So.
She would have been here, but she's still out on a paving site at the moment. So, yeah, I scurried in for her.
All right. Okay, so,
Sorry, I don't have one for you. We
That's fine. I'll take it on Megan's good authority.
Well, we're going to go through it now. So if you do notice anything, we can talk about it.
right.
Would you like me to go
Yes.
through the? Oh, sorry
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
I was just, that's why I was
You were
staring.
staring at me for. Oh, okay.
Well, that's weird, he's staring at me.
All right. I don't like this being up here, so I'm just taking it away.
Well, before you do that,
Yeah.
Eileen,
Yes.
is there anybody,
point.
this is a public hearing, is there anybody in the audience that is interested in making a comment about the new pipe to install on Middlesex Turnpike at the Bedford Street intersection? Is there anyone? It's a hearing, we're allowed to take comments? No, okay, all right, they're all set there.
Okay. The proposed project consists of the replacement of the gravity sewer located at the intersection of Middlesex Turnpike and Bedford Street. The existing sewer line will be removed and replaced with new polyvinyl chloride pipe via open-cut excavation methods. If there's anything that Megan missed that's sort of factual here, just interrupt me as I'm going along, okay?
Okay.
Work would occur within the 200-foot riverfront area of Vine Brook, the inner 100 feet, within the 100-foot buffer zone to bank and to bordering vegetated wetlands, and within the locally regulated 100-foot, oh, sorry, it says, oh, no, I get it. There were a whole lot of separate resource areas. Within the locally regulated 100-foot buffer to bank and within bordering land subject to flooding, also known as the 1% flood zone. Part of the project would also be located within Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program priority and estimated habitat, and confirmation was received from Mass Wildlife that the project would result in no adverse take to resource area habitat of state-listed rare wildlife or take of state-listed rare species. The project entailed approximately 985 square feet of work in the inner riverfront area and buffer zone and approximately 1,540 square feet of work in BLSF. The project qualified as a limited project under 310 CMR 1053-3D as it replaces an underground sewer utility. The project meets each of the required conditions of this section of the Wetlands Protection Act. Should say really regulations. Next is just the filing history, and then the plan document references. If there's anything you do notice about those, that just like spellings or something in the next day or two, let us know. The wetland values and areas subject to protection include all the things I just mentioned, the 200-foot riverfront area of Vine Brook, buffer zone to bank and bordering vegetated wetlands and bordering land subject to flooding. Work occurring within or in close proximity to those resource areas can generate adverse impacts. The Commission finds that the resource area delineations are accurate, and the Commission finds that there are no practicable and substantially equivalent economic alternatives with less impact. They did provide a substantial alternatives analysis. They went through the stormwater standards, and in all cases it was not going to create any new discharges, not altering peak rates or volumes of runoff, recharge rates won't change, it will not alter water quality, it's not a LUPL, it's not a critical area. It is subject to the stormwater management standards only to the extent practicable as a redevelopment and limited project, and erosion controls shall be implemented during construction. This permit under the Burlington Wetland Bylaw may also serve as a permit under the Stormwater Bylaw. The applicant is responsible for obtaining all other permits. It goes on to mention about erosion controls, which in this case is going to be compost tubes, 12-inch minimum, or you may use hay bales with filter fence. And that's really it for the bylaw, unless anybody has anything to stop me on. Oh, that was the last one. Where'd it go? How many things do I have open here? Okay, well, let's find it. Where'd it go? Here we go, order of conditions. Once again, we're referencing all the same plan set. A lot of these are standard. Megan knows them pretty well. You probably know them pretty well at this point. So I'll just zip through a few. The first several are standard. We're again saying that this order permits work within the riverfront area of Divine Brook and in all the other areas that I already said. No work within no, that's not true, because riverfront area is a resource area. So I'm just going to take that out. Okay, sorry. Going down, pre-construction conditions, this is saying that you're going to let us know a few days before the work happens. We're going to have a meeting on site, at which time you're going to show us that the DEP sign is in place, erosion controls are in place, your dewatering setup is in place, and you will have, at that time, recorded the order of conditions. We will have evidence of that. As we said, erosion controls will be either compost filter tubes, which is what it says on the plan, or hay bales and sediment filter fabric fence. Materials should not be stockpiled on the site within 40 feet of the wetlands or brook. All disturbed areas shall be stabilized immediately. Dewatering on this site shall be effected only through the engineered dewatering system, including a frac tank and filter bags, and shown on the approved plan sheet, which is C102. Keep Bedford Street and Middlesex Turnpike clean and clear. We have the right to require additional erosion controls. The pollution control conditions are all completely standard about fueling, no discharge, no more than 50 gallons of fuel on site. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides shall not be used within 200 feet of the stream. And the last one is just how you go about getting your certificate of compliance. We'll need a written narrative and WPA Form 8A.
Okay, so do you have any comments at all, or questions?
I do not.
Okay. Rob, anything? Kent? Indra? Bill?
No.
I have one question. You'll be hiring a contractor, right, to do this?
Yes.
Yeah. It says materials will not be stockpiled within 40 feet of the wetlands and brook. It's kind of like a corridor down through there. You got the street on the right, there's a big, huge evergreen tree on the left. So the question is, they're going to dig close to that manhole near the brook, okay? So can they actually comply with this, not stockpile? They're going to dig the soil right near the edge of the brook, not the bank, but just up to. And can you live with a condition that says you can't put that dirt within 40 feet? See what I'm saying? In other words, you're going like this from the road, and then you're going on the dirt, and here is the big tree here. You're not going to disturb that, you said. Here is Middlesex Turnpike on this side.
Well, can you remind, maybe it'll be easier if we, how long will it take? And at the end of the day, is the trench going to be closed up, or?
Yeah, generally speaking, they close the trench every night.
And is it going towards the river? The work?
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
the connection is being made at the
Yeah,
manhole.
generally you would go that way, yeah. You would probably go towards the river, I would say.
So the bulk of the work that's probably occurring towards the river will just be within that last period of time, which will just be a day or two.
Just be what?
I'm assuming a day or two?
Yeah, if that.
So any stockpiling of soil at that time would just be in that day or two?
Well, yes, I understand that.
Okay.
I think what we need to do is give it, the thing flexibility, that if there's any change to that, that they can get you to say, that's fine. Because otherwise, the machine has to back all the way up to get away from, or be able to spin around, and they won't be able to. They're going to have to back up. It might be easier to let them stockpile 25 feet near the...
For one day. yeah.
For one day.
Yeah.
Or have them, if they can't meet the 40 feet, have them call you for,
Can we just add a sentence then, just to say, something like that?
I'm open to
or-
anything.
For a limited time of like a day or perhaps 2 days to stockpile while they work directly near that area seems fair.
Well, I'm not sure how to put that, so I'd kind of rather they give us a call so that we can like approve a single day thing. Would that be okay?
That's what I had in mind, actually.
That's
So
fair.
something like contact staff in the event that stockpiling must occur for
Closer to the,
time.
closer to the bank and the stream, closer than 40 feet, but
Yep.
temporarily needs to be stocked there,
Okay,
okay?
that's fair.
Okay.
That, where I'm saying temporary, that's temporary stockpiling,
Short-term, temporary stockpiling.
isn't that the same thing? The temporary stockpiling,
Temporary doesn't necessarily mean short-term.
I think it does,
Whatever.
doesn't it?
Put it,
It could be temporary for a year, sure.
yeah, it could be temporary for a year. Yeah, it's what,
Okay.
it's what,
Still
he-
not,
it's
still
what he
not
said.
permanent.
It's what he said.
Stockpiling, got it. Staff in the event the short-term stockpiling is required. We'll just leave it at that, okay?
Now, who is going to be, for the engineering department, is someone going to be there all the time monitoring?
So project administration, as well as all the design work, is done by Weston and Sampson. They will have an engineer on staff at all times
They
during
will?
work. And then we coordinate in-house to periodically check on them.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
so someone will be there.
Yes, they generally have an engineer at all times on site, and then we in-house go visit several times a day.
The reason I ask is because when I was out there, Eileen, remember I saw a dark streak of what I thought might be some kind of oily substance running towards the street?
Yep.
And we sent the pictures to Board of Health, and I never heard a thing back.
Christine Mathis determined it was just a damp patch. It didn't appear to be oil.
So it just looked like it.
Yeah.
But it was a dark, damp patch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So someone will be there, that's the point.
Yes, always.
So if some oily substance is found, you know to stop work and report it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so is there anything else? Okay, therefore, can I have a motion to close the hearing on DEP file number 122-721?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? 500. Could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP file number 122-721?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. Could I have a motion to adopt the permit conditions under both Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for DEP file number 122-721?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Again, 500. You're all set.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay. Next on our agenda is, we have a hearing for the continued hearing, Burlington Stormwater Bylaw. It's for the Town of Burlington's project for the new police station to demolish the existing structure and construct a new building. Good evening, folks. All right, so obviously, you're the guests, so again, like before, you introduce yourselves, and you can say whatever you would like at this point.
Okay, I'll start. I'm John Denizio, I'm the town administrator. We have some folks from the design team here, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, Megan Collins, KBA Architects. I'm a junior landscape architect.
Sure.
Kevin Witzel with Castle Booze, I'm the project manager.
Okay?
And we also have Chief Brown here for anything.
Hi, Chief.
When we left our last meeting, we had a to-do list of, we also have some other folks from the design team, or the project team online. We have Tom Downey from the OPM CHA, and I know we have someone from Weston and Sampson, but, oh, it's Elena.
Elena Compton.
Elena, yep.
All right, welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Sorry about missing you guys online. So we were here last time. We left here with a to-do list of 4 items, and I believe we have some slides, and they've probably been shared, and maybe you have some hard copies in front of you. But the 4 items for us to look at,
Yes, on Monday.
Okay, can you? Great. Because we just realized you're not logged in to share them. We thought you were sharing them.
So those 4 items were, we originally came with a plan that had the tree markings for 12-inch, and the request was to mark them for 6-inch, which we have, and you either have that plan in front of you, or we can share it shortly. I see you have
Yeah,
it.
we have the tree removals.
So you can see that, and those have been marked in the field. I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to go out there. The second item was the snow storage and maintenance plan. There's another plan on there that is also marked for that. There's been some changes to the design that allowed for that to be done a little easier than we had hoped. And then the third item was the distance between the bottom of the drainage structure and the seasonal high water mark, which I believe there's a slide for that also. If not, then Megan can speak to that. And I believe the last item was to verify, which I think we did that night, but you asked that we verify who was going to maintain the phosphorus filtration systems that are going in, and were able to verify with Megan as we were walking out that night, and then through email, that the water department, the engineer and DPW confirmed to the water department that they maintain the whole town's infrastructure and understand that this is going to be a new product that they're going to get the O&Ms for and take care of and maintain.
You mean watering the new trees and stuff like that?
No, I'm sorry, this is the phosphorus filtration
Oh, the
device.
phosphorus filtration, okay. Well,
Well, the maintenance of the stormwater system.
Maine is the stormwater, so I saw that on the documents, okay. All right.
Water department.
All right. Okay, so do you folks want to show your slides now?
These are them. It's just the picture.
Okay.
This is the updated site plan, illustrative site plan. You may notice that we have removed the auxiliary building from the project, so there's,
Bring the microphone a little closer. Thanks.
so there's no longer a second building on the property. So this is just to give you an overall view of what the project currently, how the project currently stands. And we did add some additional trees where the auxiliary building was, and we also created a little bit of snow storage there so that the fence is moved back from the curb and we can push snow into that area.
Okay, why don't we just stop there and just discuss each thing and then move on? How many trees are there
On the,
being planted?
Well, she's going to get up to a nicer one. Okay, sorry. Lucy's doing it now.
the total number of trees that we are planting on the project are 74. And there will be approximately 60 shrubs included and various perennials of grasses. And we intend to seed new lawn and have a couple of areas of a little bit longer, more natural grass.
And they're removing?
And we are removing within the, so if Lucy in this, oh, sorry, on this slide, you can see there's 2 trees in the 15-foot rear setback that are being removed. However, the project intends to remove
Is that the
30.
the higher up one?
Yes, that's
At the top.
that's the top edge there. So those 2 that are sort of mid-screen,
These ones?
yes.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
And then there's also a stump that's
Oh, because they're red.
Yeah, there's a big stump there.
So the mint green, 6 inches diameter or larger, and the other ones are trees to remain, and the orange ones are trees to be removed.
Correct.
Correct.
So if you look at the plan, you can see that that big strip, so if you were standing over there, everybody can picture the fence with all the trees in between the 2 properties, the current sculpture park and the police station. Other than the ones that are right on the street or on the property line, that whole strip goes away, and that's the bulk of the trees, the count of the trees that are coming out.
Okay? Any questions by the commission so far?
Nope.
Anything, Rob? One quick question. How far into the sculpture park area is this project go?
It's about two-thirds. It's actually marked in the field. You can see there's some magenta.
Two-thirds into the sculpture area, right?
Yeah, so the edge of the property line, the new property line will be over half, but less than two-thirds into that sculpture park field. That will be the property line. Then there'll be a little bit of room, the fence, and then the parking. And then if you could picture where that fence is now and that strip of trees, that's the edge of the building.
Has the town made a determination about the sculptures, where they go and stuff yet?
So temporarily, the sculptures that are there's 9 sculptures and 3 benches. The 9 sculptures are going to be moved temporarily. 6 of them are going on the common near, I'm terrible with directions, north, south, whatever, but near the dog. Then there'll be 3 that are going to go in front of the buildings, our buildings here on Center Street, the campus. And has not been determined whether they'll go back, or I know the Historical Commission is itching to get that land back for a garden. So
Sure.
there'll be some more to come on that, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Okay, good.
If I may.
Yes, go ahead, Indra.
How many trees are you removing?
35.
35. 35 total.
35.
2 are within the 15-foot rear setback.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good, let's move on.
So maybe the snow one next?
So you can see highlighted in blue the intended areas for snow storage.
So the big win for us by moving that outbuilding and making it just another part of the actual building, let us save some more trees and created a nice spot for us to be able to store the snow and manage the snow and get it into the drainage system.
Sure. Okay, any questions on snow storage? Nope. I think all we really needed was a plan, and you have one.
And then the final slide is the information about the subsurface detention. And there was a question previously about the distance between the
Estimated seasonally.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
This is not my, if Elena is on the line, she can speak to it a little bit better than I can.
Elena, is she?
Yes, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So just to give a quick summary, for the 2 infiltration systems, we have at least 2 feet separation from the seasonal high groundwater to the bottom of infiltration system. That's how we designed it. It possibly could be larger distance separation, but we only had the datum of the bottom of the test pit. So to the bottom of the test pit that was excavated, they did not see any evidence of seasonal high groundwater. For the 2 detention systems, they are partially would be within the seasonal high groundwater for the short term of the year that the groundwater is at that seasonally high level. We've had conversations with the town engineer, and it was determined that it's better benefit to still exclude the liner and allow for the 9, 11 months of the year that the groundwater is not seasonally high to allow some infiltration, and then for the short term that the groundwater is at its highest level, there will be a slightly less storage in those chambers.
Okay, I see. Eileen, do you have any comment on this at all?
No, I don't. They were really constrained on this site.
Because of soil conditions?
Because of the soil conditions. So I think it's a good idea, having them unlined, because
Having them what?
unlined, as she said, because at least we'll get a little bit of infiltration in the drier parts of the year.
Right, right. So
And they made the infiltration chambers.
let's see if any of the
as large
commissioners
as
have any
possible.
questions on this. Kent, anything? Indra? Rob? Nope. Bill?
Nope.
Does this mean that for short-term or 3 months or less out of the year, that the infiltration chambers will essentially have to use the overflow, and the overflow water will go into the stormwater, the town's sewer system, town's stormwater system. Is that how it's supposed to work?
There is a potential for that, correct. But for example, normally, your seasonal high groundwater would be experienced in late winter, early spring, and the test pits were done in March this year, and the groundwater was nowhere near the estimated seasonal level, so it was actually well below this. So I don't think it happens even yearly. So I think it's hopefully will be a very rare occurrence.
Well, we were in a critical drought for several months before that, so I wouldn't
Right.
necessarily,
Yeah, I mean,
but they are limited.
yeah, that's the best they can do, given these soil conditions, apparently. Okay, all right, good, thank you for that response. Okay, so is there another slide?
No,
That-
that was
that's it.
it.
That was it? No questions.
That was simple. Okay. All right, let's see if there's any remaining concerns or questions before we move ahead here. Eileen or Lucy, is there anything?
No, we went ahead and drafted something just on the assumption that we would all come to an agreement tonight, and we can, just to let you know, there have been some edits made to them, so we're going to go, if you guys want to go over the permit, we'll go over the proposed edits as well.
Let's just see what the other people say. Rob?
No, it's
Just said. Okay. Kent?
good.
Indra?
All set, yeah.
Bill?
I like it, yeah. I think it's going to be an asset when it's done. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I like this project a lot. It was a nice job by the design team, certainly. 2 questions. One is a non-conservation-related questions. Are there more parking spots than the current situation?
Yes, so there's more spots than now, and there's enough spots to fit the whole program, so that's the folks that work there's personal cars and the cars that will be parked there at any time. There is a net decrease of 2 since the original design when we took the outbuilding away.
It's more than what we have.
It's more than what we have, and it's enough for our full program as it exists, and with a little room
What
for growth.
percentage increase in parking is it? Do you know offhand, roughly?
Is it 60 to 80, 60-ish to 80-ish?
60 to 80% more?
No, I'm sorry, count.
Oh,
I think
That's about right. Sure.
there's in the 60s right now, and we're going into the 80s.
okay, so it's like a third more.
Third more.
So
Yep.
less occasions when you might use the library parking lot.
Yeah, hopefully no occasions we will have to use the library. It was programmed to not have to use the library, even with some growth.
In the interest of pure transparency, my wife is one of the library trustees. So I thought, so she kind of said, will you ask that question, please? Okay, so transparency. All right, that's great. And the other question is, you're planting a lot of trees and shrubs. I looked at the documents here, and it wasn't clear to me that in the pollution prevention, or in the erosion sedimentation control plan and the illicit discharge statement, I didn't see anything that said who was going to, operation and maintenance plan, here it is. Who's going to water these plants? Because the first year, as you know, most people know, is critical, and it sounds like the town is spending a lot of money on this. So I'm kind of wondering, do we have anybody who has agreed to take responsibility? Or, John, are you going to take that on and,
Get out there and water 'em?
no, designate somebody? Or
Yeah, I mean,
make an
so
agreement with the garden club? I don't know.
Yeah, so we haven't figured out exactly who will do it after. The contractor's going to own a certain portion of watering and guaranteeing a certain growth and length of time, typically in a new building, and that'll give us the time to figure out who exactly in our operation is going to own continuing watering them until they're,
Okay, so
mature.
basically, I guess if I heard you correctly, John, you're going to be responsible for seeing that some department, something gets designated to take care of it, the watering.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So when they're actually planted, it's going to come with a warranty and a watering requirement of the contractor that actually plants them.
I
And
see.
they're going to own that for a period of time.
And then after
During
that-
that period of time, someone on our team is going to own it, watering
Okay.
it.
I like that answer, because if you said Brian White is going to go out there and water, I was going to say, does he know this?
Well, I'm sure whoever owns it, it was going to own it, doesn't know it yet, but they're going to
They
find
will
out.
know it. That's great.
You can get your own hose.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have to have a hookup, and I'll be out there.
I appreciate you actually stating that you'll take responsibility for that, very much so. Okay. That's all I have. Is there anybody, and this is a public hearing, does anybody in the audience want to make a statement about this project? Nobody online, nobody in the room. All right, so unless somebody objects on the commission, we'll go through the draft documents, and then we can vote the permit and sort of get it off the table tonight.
Great.
Oh, it's just taking a while. Okay, as you can see, there's a couple of spaces where we've highlighted things and edits have been made, so we'll get those sorted tonight. Okay, so the first few, several lines of this are just standard about conditions referenced below being best management, and adherence to these conditions is necessary for the protection of Burlington's water bodies and groundwater, and referencing the stormwater bylaw. So a stormwater and erosion and sedimentation control bylaw application was filed for the redevelopment of the existing police station. The project would involve demolition of the existing building, removal/abandonment of existing utilities, clearing and grubbing, construction of a new police station facility, full-depth pavement construction, new curbing, new sidewalk, new closed drainage system, site utilities and landscaping. The project will disturb 85,234 square feet with a net increase of approximately 18,752 square feet of impervious area. As you can see, I had a little thing there saying how many in the rear setback, but now we know because, sorry, let me just get rid of this. I'm going to fix it right now because it's 2. Let me get rid of the... get rid-
2 in the rear setback.
delete the comment. Okay, so 35 trees greater than 6 dBH will be cleared. About 74 trees, and I'm going to say 60 shrubs now, since we just have a number. Approx 60 shrubs will be planted. Hang on, let's just say 35 will be cleared, 2 of which are in the rear 15-foot setback, okay? Everyone okay with that?
Yes.
And then runoff for most of the project in the existing condition flows over land or through structures to the Center Street drainage system, while runoff from the northeast portion flows overland towards the library. Site investigations revealed dense to very dense glacial fill with low permeability and high groundwater. As a result, groundwater in the northern portion of the site would be directed to 2 detention chambers. Elena, if I say anything factually incorrect here, would you correct me, please, so we can just make sure this is right? These would be unlined, allowing some infiltration in drier months. 2 infiltration chamber systems to the south of the new building would allow infiltration. Prior to reaching the detention/infiltration chamber, the stormwater will be conveyed to deep sump catch basins and hydrodynamic separators, and somebody corrected my thing with a capital S, which would reduce TSS. The chamber system will have an isolator row to enhance pretreatment. After the chambers, the stormwater would be routed through a jellyfish with capital J filter, which will reduce the phosphorus content before discharge. The rate of runoff would be reduced in the development condition. The volume will not be reduced to below existing conditions, but will be reduced to the maximum extent practicable. Because this project disturbs more than 1 acre, the applicant demonstrated the total phosphorus would be reduced by approximately 60% and total suspended solids by 94.8% on average across the project site, which complies with stormwater and erosion and sedimentation control bylaw reduction requirement. Then we went through the filing history, and then the stormwater management conditions are that the redevelopment will not create any new untreated discharge nor erosion. Peak discharge rates will not increase. I had incorrectly written this sentence, so thank you for correcting it, whoever did, Alyssa. The recharge requirement of 502 cubic feet is exceeded, so they are meeting the recharge requirement. It was the volume that they were having trouble meeting. TSS removal will be increased to the maximum extent practicable, which is more than 80%. This is not a LUPL, this is not a critical area. I had written it's a new development project because that is what they were saying themselves in their plan, in their description. I had questioned it at our last meeting. Lisa Mead also seems to be questioning it. So Elena, we were wondering if it would make sense to say, if there was probably a reason why you guys were basing the calculations on new development, but does it make sense for us to say this is a mixture of new and partial redevelopment?
We can certainly say that. We just had instances in different towns that the way that they interpret the stormwater rules, and if they're saying if there is a net increase in impervious, then you should consider the whole site as a new development. But if you are,
That's not my,
agree that this could be considered.
regs. I think it's just new where it's new. Anyway,
That's,
it makes it harder for you to meet the requirements too.
sorry, before Gage left, he
Yes.
did
He checked.
a very cursory check, and
Yep.
he said that if there is an increase in impervious, that it does qualify as a new development, because you're not keeping the same amount of impervious. That a redevelopment would keep the same amount of impervious, but because we are increasing, it
Okay.
is a new development.
I will go with that. I'm still not certain about it, but let's leave it with this is a new redevelopment.
She means it sounds good.
I just like to check these things for myself. Erosion and sedimentation controls will be implemented during construction. The town, DPW, will be responsible for the operation and maintenance of the proposed drainage system, including the jellyfish filter. The project does not create any new illicit discharges. And then conditions, we listed the plan set. Apparently I missed one, so thank you for inserting that. And we apparently, it was a little bit hard to interpret. That there was, Eric had started some of the plans and then Alyssa took them over, so that was, we kind of missed that and it was hard to capture. So we'll put these in as Alyssa has edited them. We'll keep that, is what I mean. We'll keep the edits. So that's fine. And then tree removal sheet, we're still kind of working on that whole thing. You and I will make sure that looks correct. But don't worry about those. This is just a nomenclature issue we had. Any changes to the above referenced plans shall be submitted to the Conservation Department for review. And then we would make a determination as to whether some sort of additional hearing was required. Members of the Commission and their designated representatives shall have the right to enter upon and inspect premises to evaluate compliance with this permit, which means that either Lucy or I will probably pop over there now and then just to make sure everything is clean and going as expected. A copy of this permit shall be provided to any person doing work on the site and shall be available on the site at all times. The permit does not relieve the applicant from the responsibility to be compliant with all other regulations. Prior to commencing work on the site, the applicant and/or contractor shall contact Commission staff as needed to clarify the meaning of the permit conditions if there's any confusion. And then we shall be notified at least 1 week prior to the commencement of the construction to schedule a pre-construction meeting, at which time we will review the permit and the conditions herein. We will inspect the erosion controls and discuss erosion control monitoring and collect the names of individuals responsible for daily activities. Pollution prevention, like I had said to Gage, these are pretty standard ones about keeping the site clear, no discharge or spilling of fluid, cleaning of equipment not on the site. And then for erosion control, per your plans, the applicant shall install compost filter tubes, 12-inch minimum, and a stone site entrance from the Sears Street, Center Street. I said Sears and I was wrong. It is Center Street. Per the site preparation and demolition plan and civil details plan at the limit of work on the property. Sorry, the erosion controls are going at the limit of work. The site entrance is kind of a little way in. The applicant shall notify the department staff on the erosion controls and if applicable limit of work fence are installed. Is there going to be like I suspect there is, a larger limit of work fence, like a tall fence?
I would say,
But generally, there'll be an 8-foot chain link fence.
Right.
We'll limit more.
Okay, so that would count for that. No other work shall begin until the required erosion control barriers are properly installed, and alternatives need approval from the Conservation Administrator. We reserve the right to require additional erosion controls. All disturbed areas shall be stabilized and revegetated within 30 days. Erosion and runoff of soil shall not be allowed onto the streets of Burlington, so daily sweep Centre Street and Sears Street if anything is coming off. Materials shall be stockpiled on the site at a location that minimizes the likelihood that materials will run into streets or catch basins, and any change in the stockpile site should be approved. Stockpiles should be covered with a tarp and weighted down. This is pretty standard. Dewatering isn't anticipated, but if it occurs, a plan shall be, so it is entirely possible dewatering will have to occur on this site. Then you should submit a plan to us that we can just approve with hay bales or a frac tank if needed, but I don't think that's likely. Grading shall be completed in such a way as to not direct additional runoff onto the property of others, and this project shall not increase the rate or volume of runoff. That's the rest is standard. Sweeping of paved surfaces shall be done as needed. The project site contractor shall submit a copy of the SWIP prepared for EPA when that's available. I actually just added these two within the last few hours because we talked about this at the last time and I forgot to add them. So the cutting of 2 trees in the rear setback is permitted by this decision. Removal of any other trees in the rear setback, I should say. Let me just clarify. The trees in the rear setback will require, I'll fix the spelling at some point, approval from the Commissioner Conservation Administrator, and may require submission of a written assessment. And then approximately 74 native trees and 60 native shrubs, they're largely native at least, I think a lot of them are, shall be, 60, shall be planted per the specifications in the site planting plan. Alternative species shall be determined only in consultation. This is standard from our an order of conditions, but I'm not certain whether...
Which number are you talking now?
Number 24, where we're talking about the trees. I had just transplanted a standard condition in here about alternative species shall be determined in consultation with conservation staff. I'm not sure that's actually something we can really say because this isn't a wetland filing, so I'm just going to take that off. The plantings shall be monitored for 2 full growing seasons and shall be replaced if they fail to survive within that time. This has to meet all the stormwater, the state's stormwater standards. Rooftop and pavement runoff shall be infiltrated on site. Any pre-construction soil test pits shall be witnessed by Board of Health. The installation of the drainage structures shall be witnessed by a PE. The town of Burlington shall adhere to the submitted operation and maintenance plan, and we actually outlined a lot of the things that are in the plan here about inspecting and cleaning the deep sump catch basins, and the jellyfish and the isolator rows, and if there was something else, I can't remember. And then property manager DPW shall submit maintenance records as they're generated. Property owner shall be notified of maintenance requirements and must adhere to that operation and maintenance plan, and it shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds with the certificate of completion when that comes around. And then to get the certificate of completion, you need as-built plans and a written narrative by a civil engineer.
I have a
Okay, so you folks have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
The 2-year replacement requirement, is that within the 15-foot rear setback, or are you asking for that on the entire site? That is a very, in my experience doing wetlands, it's a very expensive thing to put into the contract, and I understand.
That is a fair question, and it's not really for me, it's up to the
Could
commission.
you elaborate a bit more, please?
Asking a contractor to warranty a plant for 2 years is very expensive. It is typical, something that we do in a wetland jurisdiction, and I completely understand that. So I'm asking if the replacement is for the trees that are going within the 15-foot rear setback, which is the jurisdiction of the Concom, or if you're asking for the entire site.
Well, I think the original intent was they were asking for the entire site, but I think we need to consider what you're saying.
I do, it really is a bigger ask than you really have jurisdiction for.
There's really only 2 jurisdictional trees.
Yes,
cut.
that's true.
And whatever plantings are in that setback, perhaps we could say, but that would be it.
Okay,
So
are you okay with reducing
now,
it, or do you?
if a lot of the trees died, would the town entertain replacing some of them?
So typically, when we have contracts, we have a standard replacement time with the contractor that
What is the standard?
is typically 6 months or a year. It depends on what the specification is, and I'm honestly not familiar with what our specification is currently.
So if we change that to the contractor would replace it within 1 year, does that sound more normal to you?
It sounds more normal.
Sounds better.
It sounds better. Truthfully, the 15-foot rear setback sounds the most reasonable, but I will.
And I could tell you, if we have a bunch of trees that don't survive on the property, we're going to have to address it right away. We're not going to have big areas where, planted trees didn't survive that we're not going to be able to.
So the town, it would be the responsible party of last resort to do something to take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, while the contract is under his warranty, we're going to be all over them for all the trees, because that's what they own. But what your question was, and I think if you restricted the ones that were in the rear setback, anything that we planted in that rear setback, that we would be required to replace those if they didn't make it, that seems fair. But what I was saying is, if we had something where a whole bunch of trees didn't survive that second growing season.
Yeah, I don't think we, as a commission, can legislate tree replacement for areas where we don't have jurisdiction over.
I agree.
I don't think we, I don't think that.
I just plunked this in an hour or two ago, and I didn't think carefully enough about that. I agree with you. Plus, but remember, as JD says, this is a very visible site.
But
And a town
then again,
They're not going to just have dead
we
trees.
assume our town administrator, as good as his word, if there was a lot of trees, he would probably do something, right?
Yes.
I would say we would.
Okay.
Call up the tree warden.
Call up the tree warden.
Well, once again, we're back to Brian White.
All right. Yeah, I think we have to rely on the administration's good intent to deal with trees beyond, not within the 15-foot setback, because we just don't assert jurisdiction over trees that are not in that zone. So I,
It's their investment.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get calls from more than just the
right,
Conservation
so I don't
Commission.
think, I don't
if
think we
have
can put anything
a
in
large
writing.
swath of trees that
So I think your comment is valid. Anyone on the commission have a comment? I mean, okay, so I think,
It's a very visible site. So is it okay if we just switch it to the plantings within the 15-foot setback? Are we leaving the part about shall be monitored for 2 full growing seasons and shall be replaced
I
if they
think
fail to
that's fair.
survive
There's
within
only
that time?
there's only a few in that 15 feet, right? How many are in the 15 feet?
There's a lot. I mean,
There's a
that
significant amount,
whole
yeah.
property line is going to be lined with trees, new trees.
Well, you do have jurisdiction on the 15-foot.
Well, to me, it's a question of, when I've dealt with landscapers, normally they will say it's warranted for maybe up to a year sometimes. 2 years is not something I normally see. So why don't we put in for a year? How does that sound to folks? No?
Well, I think our standard position is if it's a jurisdictional planting, it's required to be 2 years, 2 seasons, 2 growing seasons is what we usually say.
That's what it's
Well,
there.
I think what we should say is that the contractor is maybe, I don't know if we want to obligate them for 2 years, but the town will do the second year if needed.
No, we're talking about the setback.
Yes, there's quite a few trees there, though, being
Right.
planted.
Right. Yeah, you can see it, there's quite a few.
All right, so how do we word this?
Wouldn't it be on the town because the town is the applicant anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, I think the way it's worded is proper.
Lucy
We know we
just-
own it whenever.
just made the point that the town is the applicant anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would be responsible for replacing the trees, dealing with the contractor as needed, but ultimately the town's responsible for replacing them. Is that a fair way of expressing it?
Yeah, I think the way it's written makes sense. You know, we're gonna, we own them.
You own them anyway.
And
It's town property.
just don't kill them.
just to make everybody feel a tiny bit better, maybe, that usually success is considered 80% or more, right?
Right.
So it's not like if one or two trees die, sometimes this happens. It doesn't mean every single tree.
Yep.
And shrub.
Yep. We don't want to build a $46 million facility with dead trees, I
No.
promise.
No, you don't.
Right. Good point, sir. Okay.
And it's right in the center of town.
Right.
Is there
no.
anything else?
Just-
Okay, are we set?
Yeah.
All right, then, could I have a motion to close the hearing, the stormwater hearing for 45 Center Street for the town of Burlington?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. Okay, could I have a motion to pass the stormwater permit as discussed for 45 Center Street for the town of Burlington?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500, both times. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice job to everyone. Thank you very much for all your time.
Thank you.
I look forward to getting that tool
Thank you.
all built.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty. What is this?
All right. Next. We have a continued public hearing, notice of intent, 252 Fox Hill Road, which happens to be the Fox Hill School for the town of Burlington, DEP file number 122-720.
Just noticed that Sadie online.
Oh,
Sadie, you were online, right?
Yes, I'm online.
We just noticed you were here because when we did the roll call, I don't think you had logged on yet.
Yeah, sorry, I was running late today.
That's all right. So we are recognizing you late. For the record, Sadie Backstrom, our Associate Commissioner, is in attendance, and I will make sure I call on you in case there's any questions as well.
All right, thank you.
Sure thing. All right. Please go through the introductions and where we are.
Great. Thank you. My name is Vivian Lowe. I'm with Danisco Design. We're the architects for the project.
And I'm Neil Harrigan from Danisco Design, also an architect for the project.
Sure.
So online, we also have a few folks from our design team. Janet Bernardo is with Horsley Witten. She is our civil engineer. And Amy Ball is also with Horsley Witten. She is our wetlands specialist. Kelly Conley with Terra Inc., our landscape architect.
All right. Welcome to you all.
Thank you. So where we've been, since we last met with you a month ago, we've had a hearing with the planning board. And as of last week, they closed it. So we are in a good position with planning board. We have.
So you're all set with the planning board?
We're all set with the planning board. They had a couple of conditions, and none of them impact the jurisdictional area. One of them is a screen that they asked for a generator, and the other is a piece of equipment. So there's no change to the plans and the design as of last Thursday.
Okay. And did you folks have to go before Board of Health at all?
Yes.
We did, yes.
Is that all set?
Yes. They also issued a set of conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so Eileen and Lucy, where are we from your perspective, please?
we were feeling pretty comfortable as staff that we had pretty much everything we needed, and we we're happy to issue tonight if you are happy to do so, when we have drafted something, which will probably need a few tweaks as well. I've had trouble receiving emails from Amy Ball, which wasn't Amy's fault, it just, something has happened. So I think she had sent me some plans earlier in the week that I only got this afternoon. And so we might have to make some updates to the order of conditions. And she also said that she edited the order of conditions, and I didn't receive that either. So actually, maybe Amy, maybe you can, as we're going through the order, you can tell me what you tweaked, or you can share it on your screen or something. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
So apparently Horsley Witten is blacklisted in our email system. But we are pretty happy, and we're aware that the planning board was also largely happy with everything as presented, and also Board of Health.
Okay. So there's no unresolved issues?
There are not.
All right. How about Rob? We have an elementary school, new elementary school. Any comments at all?
No, I thought it, from last week, I think, what was covered.
Okay, we're all set there. Kent,
I agree. Last week was pretty good.
you're good to go.
It's good,
Andrew?
very good.
Bill?
I live on Fox Hill Road, so I'm eager to see this constructed. I'm eager to see it finished, let's put it that way. But I think it's going to be a very nice project when
Yeah,
it's done.
it is.
Thank you.
Okay, I have two related questions. One is on the invasive species plan. It says, in order for the invasive species plan to be successful, it says you must utilize site condition feedback from monitoring visits on a regular basis, and then there has to be somebody who monitoring should occur twice per year, mid-June and mid-September. And then it has to require some ongoing maintenance in order to, it's not just a one-shot deal. Who is going to do that? Like, is the contract that you let responsible for monitoring the plan after they pull out the initial invasives, and then keeping an eye on it and doing the sort of little bit of pickup afterwards, after the fact? Like, who is going to do that?
So during construction, it'll be the responsibility of the contractor to monitor. So
That will be in their contract.
that will be in the construction documents, right, the bid documents.
Okay. And how long is the construction contract go for? 2 years?
A little over 2 years.
All right. So after that, Eileen, how does the town, I don't know if the town has a way of dealing with it once the contractor is done. It'd be nice if there was some kind of ongoing commitment, but I don't know if that's possible to get.
Did you and Amy have a plan for longer-term monitoring that I just have forgotten was in the monitoring plan?
So, Amy, I don't know if you have anything specific, but post-construction, we were not intending for the contractor to
Right,
continue.
I figured that.
Right,
The
so,
question is more about the town. Like, in other words, here's what I'm asking.
I know you're asking me, but I actually don't know who in the town would do that.
No,
which is
what
why I'm asking them whether they have designated somebody.
No, I don't think they have, at past 2 years.
We have not, but it is a conversation that we've started with the school department, and who will then
Well,
circle back
eventually
with Parks and
you turn over
Rec.
everything to the town.
Yeah.
So as part of that handoff, can we say that the responsibility for this portion of it, can we have something that says Dr. Conti and Bob Kuna will be made aware of some continuing responsibility to not just let it go as part of the handoff? Can that be arranged?
I know in a previous item, a couple meetings ago, about tree cutting in the school properties, the school department made it clear they did not want to become a tree cutting responsible party within the school department. So this may fall the same way. They may not want to have this responsibility. They may prefer that the DPW or somebody else has it.
But as part of the school budget, they could theoretically handle it any way they wanted. They could let a contract to, once a year, to go out and take care of it for a
That's the
day.
idea.
Yep.
Yep.
That's been done by other communities.
It has been.
Yes.
I'm just guessing. I'm sort of.
Yeah, no, we are working with another community where they do have a horticultural company come in, and they will do their maintenance. And maybe Amy could elaborate on what Essex does. Is it once a year, twice a year? Do you recall? Putting her on the spot. Sorry.
I think they were contracted to start prior to construction, in this other municipality, and definitely did at least one full year plus a year or two, maybe longer after that, to constantly check up and treat as necessary the plantings. That, I think, had a shorter construction period too, so.
Well, Amy, as part of the handoff, could we say that you'll prepare a brief document that helps the town move forward with a plan on what should be done? Not, maybe they won't do it, but maybe they will do it if they had like something very direct and said, this is, in order to maintain it, Town of Burlington, this is what you should do. Probably hire, it has to be a contractor to do X, Y, and Z. And
I think we could do something like that and have some sort of an operations and maintenance plan like you would for a stormwater, but for invasives, if that makes sense.
could you add that to the kind
Just
of the...
something very simple, shows the pictures of the invasive species and what to do about them.
So could we say that at the end of the 2 years, that could be done? Just give them a simple direction, on here's what's needed to
Post-construction.
manage invasives going forward to the town.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is my suggestion to add would be that we actually, just throwing it out there, that we add a condition that says something like, either the town will either hire a contractor or will ensure that town staff are adequately trained and willing to enact the forthcoming tree O&M addendum that is going to just say, here's some highlights about ongoing monitoring. Would that work for us?
At the end of construction, at the time of handover, I think we should have a condition that says the project team will give a simple, I don't know if you want to use the word simple, just a plan for continued maintenance of invasive species to the town.
Okay.
I don't know if we can mandate them to do it, but we can mandate that they get the plan,
At the end of construction?
or at some point.
We often do training, like for mechanical systems. We could do something similar with the invasives. If we could have a training, like an hour, to talk about what to do to maintain it in the O&M manual, as part of the O&M manual. But it would be up to the town to maintain it, obviously.
It would be up
Or
to the
get a
town.
contract to maintain it.
Right, so the wording that I proposed would still work, and then is it, that 1 hour thing, that's not in the O&M plan right now, right? That
Well,
would be an addition.
we haven't written it yet. We're still doing our specifications.
Well, and I think it would be dependent on,
So far for the invasives
Management.
management plan, sorry, that's what I meant.
No, we don't.
Yeah. But it would depend on whether the town is doing it themselves or whether they decide to hire.
Right.
So I don't know if that we should get so specific, because if they do opt to hire a company to come in annually, right, so they wouldn't need the training. I think
Doesn't my sentence cover those?
your language for condition 55, is this what you were referencing?
Oh, I meant what I just said now to add.
Oh,
I think
after
all of them
construction.
say that there's an O&M plan and invasives must be
But we don't
managed.
have an
Yeah. I think that we can't really create an O&M plan for invasives.
I don't know
We
the
don't know they're gonna look
contractor will be will take that I don't know that the contractor will take that responsibility after they hand over.
No,
No, not the contractor.
No, I
That
just,
They would have to hire somebody.
I just think the town, it would be helpful if the town was given some direction for
Yep.
continued maintenance of the invasive species removal plan.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely provide that.
Does everyone agree with
So,
that?
But can I just ask, when? Because Lucy just made the good point that it's hard to know what it'll look like in 2 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's very little.
Good point.
So
I mean, not
Amy,
realistically,
I'm putting Amy on the spot now just because she's the ecologist. Does it make sense to, I'm trying to figure out when we would get this O&M and possible training. Is it at the end of the construction like Larry said, or is it sooner?
I just threw that out there.
I mean, what about prior to?
That can she just?
Well, if they're, I mean, depending on how the town contract works, if the contractor is responsible for making sure that the initial invasives are covered, like during the construction period, Lucy had a very good point. We won't know what it looks like right now. And if you recall, quite a bit of the, at least the autumn olive that's along the school, at the edges of the school grounds right now, some of that will be removed as just part of the, because it's becoming part of the limit of work for the new school. So it may be that we can't revisit that until, we see how that looks after a year or two of
Well, you can't,
construction.
well, you can't be specific, but what we can do is say that instructions for the continued
Yeah.
monitoring
Ongoing
and removal of invasive species will be turned over to the town. You can base it on the conditions.
End of
2 years from now.
construction, right?
Okay.
I would say.
And our plan, I believe, had some, photos of the species and some general guidance as it is right now. So I think that we could easily take that and modify it for the town.
All right, so Eileen, can you put in a condition that says project team will provide continued instructions on how to maintain the invasive species management plan after longer term?
Or are the condition for like the CO or something?
Yeah, I was wondering about that,
Yeah.
just when it comes, that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe not the COC, but like the CO. like
The
when they're-
CO, yeah, that mightn't be a bad start.
Eileen, do you have are you sort of like having a problem with how to word it this way?
Well, I still think my wording initially would generally work, but we were wondering about the timing of when to make sure, so that we don't forget, and it doesn't fall through the cracks, that when would they provide it? And Lucy was wondering if it should be before the certificate of occupancy for the school, or whatever it is you have for schools. At that point, when it's construction is finished, but you're not ready for the COC, would that be a good time?
So our project is being constructed in 2 phases. The first phase is when the new school is completed. So we will have that certificate of occupancy before the site is complete. So the site completion won't be until the fall of 2028. Is that right, Neil? 2028?
Fall of 2028.
And that's when the fields are complete and the parking lot's complete. So we can help you figure out the wording for when the contractor's contract ends. When final payment is done to the contractor is when the maintenance turns over to the town.
Can you work that offline? I mean,
Yep, yeah, we could.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Well, we can, but you guys are going to vote on the wording tonight, so
Yeah.
I want us to have it at least loosely.
Right, of course.
I mean, we can obviously come up with the exact wording, but it's
Sure.
just the timing I'm just trying to figure out here.
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
okay, if you guys are okay with us noodling on the wording that
Of
there's
when-
going to be
when-
some
when
kind
that
of
will be
an
done.
some kind of a long-term O&M
Right.
that will be provided and enacted after
Prior to
construction
site,
is largely
prior to
complete.
site completion or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Specifically for invasive plants.
Right, okay.
Well, when we go through, let's just decide where that goes, and then I'll work with them to get exact wording.
Sure.
If you're happy with us, with not having the exact wording.
You happy?
Yeah, okay.
I think what he's trying to say is basically like, if you're doing it after 2 years, I mean, the school's, basically gonna have, like, you're handing it off after 2 years, but you wanna make sure, like, that it's gonna be, because I don't think they're always gonna be fully aware of that, so it's part of the education, as you guys said, that's handed off, whether it's in their budget or whatever, that's noted somewhere, so they're made aware of that education, so, 5 years, 5 years after school's built, you're not gonna have like the same
Exactly.
problem.
Okay,
I understand what we're asking for. It's just a question of the timing.
all right, let's move on to something else. Is there anything else from anyone? No. Okay, one more thing, similar. Who is going to, I have the O&M plan here, and I have the landscape maintenance, and it talks about watering the low mow areas, low mow, okay, I love that. Okay, and then it says watering of the no mow areas, okay, during reseeding, only during drought conditions and during reseeding, but it says nothing about who's watering trees.
So this may be something, you mean after construction ends or during the establishment period?
Well, I think,
The establishment period of the tree.
yeah, I'm mostly concerned about the establishment period.
Sure.
Okay, I mean, maintenance of vegetation is the responsibility of the town, I get that. But the first year is critical, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
So is there, like, does this, some wording have to be put into this and just resubmitted, or some?
Well, maybe Kelly can at least talk a little bit about what the expectation is after the trees are planted. There's, I think, a 90-day, there could be a 60 or 90-day period, and then after that, there's a warranty period where the contractor, similar to the earlier discussion, right? There's a warranty period where they own a year of comeback should the trees die.
But who's going to water them so you don't have wholesale dying?
Right.
That's just what I want to know.
Kelly.
Vivian, would you like me to answer that?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you, yes.
Okay. Hi, Kelly Conley from Terra Inc. Nice to see you all again. So in our written specifications, we have very clear language about watering, which is it's a means and methods problem for the contractor. What that means on a site that doesn't have active irrigation for plant materials, that the contractor has to either water truck or get a meter from a city or town agency to be able to use for watering. So depending on what the allowances are within Burlington, it may be very likely that the contractor has to use a watering truck. He will have to schedule his people to do proper watering during that establishment period. They own the material for a whole year after we give final acceptance. And up until that, they also own the quality of the material to get to final acceptance. So we tend to be very vigorous and vigilant about how the trees look and that they're meeting the baseline acceptability for viability and long-term condition. I would expect that a tree is going to be 80% or more viable before we would ever accept it. If it does have any little tip dieback, that's fine. I don't like to see central leader dieback. I don't like to see whole sides dieback.
So we, as the landscape architect, as we're monitoring the site, we're looking at the plantings, we're doing our reports about establishment, will dictate that the contractor either needs to increase watering or they need to replace the plant materials before that final acceptance would happen.
So, it sounds like we're covered for 1 year after the trees are planted. Is that there will be, there'll be a contractor responsible for watering and replacement after 1 year if it doesn't survive? Is that what I understood?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yes, from 1 year from acceptance. However, if any trees are replaced during that period, then the warranty period slides to accommodate any replacements that have to occur.
Right. So, Eileen, do we need any condition in there to just state that the contractor is responsible for watering for the first year and replacement of tree? I mean, I'm just really concerned about that first year, because if you don't water them the first year, they don't survive.
Not really the first year, but I do think for some reason we don't have the standard wording that we had talked about in the last two projects, and we do need to put it in about the 2 years. Our standard wording, let me find it,
Right.
we'll pop it in there.
Okay.
2 growing seasons.
Because this is a wetlands
Yes.
permit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's justified because this is a wetlands permit.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm not necessarily concerned about that first year, because I know they will be overseeing it.
Well,
and-
we just heard that.
Right. So it's just longer term. Let me find that standard wording from something else, and we'll just pop it in, and we'll make sure it works.
May I ask a question regarding that wording?
Yep.
So my experience has been in areas that are resource areas, buffer areas to the resource, there's typically a 2-year period of maintenance and care. And we have various ways of dealing with that contractually on the other end. But in the areas that are not part of the resource or buffer area, they are not held to the same 2-year requirement, correct?
We usually.
So there's a separation in this project between resource area and buffer in the rest of the site that I think is clear to delineate and make sure we all understood what's being agreed to.
Well, our jurisdiction falls within the buffer zones to the various resource areas. Eileen,
Sorry, just trying to find the standard wording so we can mold it appropriately. I don't know how I missed that. So, I mean, our standard is just that we're saying X trees and Y native shrubs shall be planted per the specifications in whatever the plan was. The plantings shall be monitored for 2 full growing seasons and shall be replaced if they fail to survive within that time. So we could say, if this works with them and with you, trees within the buffer zone shall be monitored for 2 full growing seasons, et cetera, et cetera. Is that what you're saying, Kelly? Is that what your concern is? Sorry.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, it's because we're dealing with, I mean, we understand the sensitivity of the resource areas, and I personally wouldn't rail against that, but I would hate to see the rest of the site being held to the same standard as the resource area. So if we could separate that out, the plant list, the planting plans are very clear with our designation of buffer versus site planting, that there's a clear break between the 2 areas that I think would be easy to then quantify into the management plan or the 2-year maintenance plan, because the trees are tagged on the plan and in the plant list as being specific to the resource areas.
Kelly, here's a question.
The buffer areas.
Here's a question, Kelly. Is it fair to say that for areas beyond the buffer zone where we do not have jurisdiction, that we understand that the contractor will be responsible for 1 year of taking care of the trees and replacement within that 1 year? Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, so we don't have to condition that. They've testified here.
About the 1 year, yes.
Yeah, it's 1 year.
I agree, that's standard.
So that's takes care of, we can't condition something that's out of our jurisdiction, really.
Correct. all trees are going to be guaranteed for a year.
Right.
And
the
then
ones
we
in the-
can condition the ones in the resource area,
Right,
the buffer,
right,
for another year.
Right.
Correct.
okay,
After that, the onus is on the owner, as it always is.
right. And the commission have any comments, further comment on this, or that's okay, right? Can only condition what we have jurisdiction, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Sadie, do you have anything on this discussion?
Oh, no, we did have,
No questions.
Okay, that's fine.
sorry, I did have it in there already in 53. Native trees and shrubs shall be planted per the
All right.
approved landscaping plan, and we said plants that are observed to be damaged or unhealthy during the first 2 growing seasons shall be replaced. I already had that, but we could say plants within the buffer zone and resource areas.
Correct.
Sorry, I had put a whole extra thing in there.
All right.
Right.
Okay, so this is a hearing, does anyone else have any comments to add beyond the discussion we just had? Anybody in the audience? No?
I actually have a question
Yes.
regarding condition number 48.
Well, we're going to go through the conditions.
Okay.
So we're going to get there.
Okay.
I just want to ask if there's anything else that someone wants to make a statement about.
Got it.
Well, can I ask, so the various plans that you did send to, that Amy attempted to send to me during the week and that we now have, do we need to look at any of those, or was it all fairly incidental stuff from, that Vivian described?
Yeah.
That were all incidental from the planning board?
It's just as Vivian described. It's all of the information. It just kind of comports everything that was also submitted to the planning board, so you have a full set of them.
Full proper
And
findings.
then we took the liberty of adding all of the plan sheets into your list there, so that you have them all.
Oh, right, so I haven't seen that, so.
So you don't have to type them out.
You can, if you,
I actually
You'll have to get it to us somehow.
emailed that to you tonight.
oh, you tonight, oh, so
Sitting
maybe I
here,
do
yeah,
have it.
so you'll
We'll
have
just
that.
plunk them in then, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing now?
We had missed a few references in the
Oh,
list of a bajillion references.
I was getting lost. by
We
all
we
this.
were missing 4 or 5.
I was getting
of
lost in
the-
this discussion. Okay,
Right, sorry about that.
it's all right.
Would you like me to share the bylaw and we
Yes.
can start going through it?
Yes, please. That's what I think we're at that
Good,
point.
thank you. I think we are. Okay, Lucy will just make it a little bigger in a moment. Okay. And again, I know you've looked at it, but if there's anything factual that we have just misinterpreted, stop me as we're going along, because those are easy to fix. The proposed project consists of the construction of a new 2-story school building, parking, play areas, outdoor classroom spaces, athletic fields, and stormwater management infrastructure. Sorry, this is the bylaw we're reading. At 252 Foxhill Road, demolition of the existing school building and modular classrooms will follow construction of the new school building, making way for construction of the remaining parking and recreational areas. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to 4 bordering vegetated wetlands and Burlington, as per the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington bylaw. And the proposed work would also be within the buffer to a vernal pool pursuant to the Burlington Wetland bylaw. Went through the filing history. There are a long list of document plan references, and Vivian has sent me a version that has a few additional plans in it, and I'll just put them in. But if there was other edits, can you just catch me as we're going along? See, there was like pages and pages of them, so I'm sorry, we just missed a few.
I'm sorry, Eileen, there were just a few date corrections. Do you want us to correct you while we're going along, or just?
As well as the,
Yeah, so
sorry, were the date corrections to the various references that we've listed?
yes, well, so the public hearing.
Why don't we just do it offline?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
do it offline. and
Yeah,
I'll
I mean, 'cause
they're just dates.
We're basically, let's do the edits offline.
Yes.
But let's review the
Well,
basic
edits to
components.
just titles of things and dates. We'll-
And dates,
That's
yeah.
what it means,
Okay.
just offline.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I think everyone would like to keep moving.
Yes.
Some of the proposed work is within the buffer to BVW and vernal pool. No building construction will occur in the buffer zones, but a playground and one subsurface infiltration system will be installed in the outer buffer. to the northernmost BVW. While the existing playing field will be removed from the buffer to the vernal pool, the playing field will be replaced by a pollinator field. Removal of the septic system will occur within the 20-foot no disturb from the BVW. Stormwater management, we did give a summary here. The project will be a mix of new construction and redevelopment involving an increase of 74,341 square feet of impervious surface. The subsurface infiltration systems will provide treatment for the first 1 inch of runoff. We're talking about, we described the various systems 1, 2, and 3 with the storm tanks and the ore tanks. And there's also the drainage area in a playground with a permeable rubber surface. The ore tank systems include a section that can be accessed for cleaning. A proprietary separator also provides pre-treatment, contributing to a calculated TSS removal of 92.5% for one treatment train and 62.5% for the second. So that more than, I think that on average that more than provides the required TSS removal. I didn't actually mention right there what the phosphorus removal is, so let me just add that in when I clarify it, P removal, because that is a requirement of our stormwater bylaw. So let me just highlight that. I highlighted this, I think, just in case we needed any further discussion. Temporary drainage will be installed as the existing drainage line runs through the proposed work area. I'm actually not sure why I highlighted that now, because that's... Did we need to add more to it? Was that all clear to everybody?
It wasn't clear to me why it needed anything more.
Oh, well, in that case, I will just unhighlight it. That's great. That's even better. I will. So they went through the stormwater standards. It won't create any new discharges. Peak discharge rates will be decreased. The recharge volume exceeds the volume required. The project has been designed to remove more than 80% of TSS. It's not a LUPL. It won't discharge to a critical area. It's partially a redevelopment and meets the required standards. Erosion controls will be implemented during construction. The project owner will adhere to an O&M plan, and the project doesn't create any new illicit discharges. Other findings, the project included removing 44 trees over 3 inches, 18 of which were between 6 inches and 24 caliper, and planting 90 trees larger than 2.5 caliper. Of the trees to be planted, 71 would be installed outside resource areas and 19 within the resource area limit of work. So correct me if any of those numbers were wrong. Restoration planting following removal of the septic system would occur within the 20-foot no disturb buffer. That's really just highlighted because you're going to have to waive the 20-foot no disturb. During construction, an additional 12 trees shall be protected using, etc. It describes how they're being protected. The project also included an invasives removal and management plan that includes removal proposals for invasive species and planting of natives and long-term monitoring. The Commission voted to waive the 20-foot no disturb setback. The Commission required that native trees and shrubs be planted with species and locations per the approved landscaping plan, including pollinator meadow mix in the buffer to the vernal pool. And this permit may also serve as a permit under Burlington's stormwater and erosion and sedimentation control bylaw. I'm not sure why we highlighted the hay bales, except it's possible that I was going to just check to see whether you had something else, and I might have to fix that. The compost tubes, probably. We are requiring weekly inspections in this case, unless you choose to waive it, because this is a pretty big ongoing project, but it's also a town project. We don't always require them for town projects. The purpose of the reporting is to provide timely assessments of the work and how it's being conducted. So, do you want to talk about that now, or will I just continue?
Why don't you continue, and then we'll do everything at once.
Okay. Well, I'm continuing by going on to the order of conditions. Is this the right one?
Okay, then let's talk about that. Is there any other issues on the findings besides that?
Oh.
So okay, Conservation Commission requires weekly inspections. What have we typically done in a wetlands permit? We have...
It partially depends on the size of it. When it's something relatively small, like, for example, the Grandview pump station, we did not require weekly inspections because it's pretty short. Again, with the sewer station one, I didn't require them, it's going to be pretty short. For the police station, I didn't say it for that either, partly because we're practically on top of them. We'll see it all the time. So I would defer to what you think.
All right,
It does add more cost.
it does, okay. Rob, any questions on this?
I think I don't really have much input on that.
Sadie, any opinion on this about requiring weekly inspections on such a large project?
I don't think so.
All right. Kent, any opinion? Indra? I'm going to ask you, Bill.
Well, it's a large project, as you just mentioned. I think it would be nice if we can put something,
Yeah, I think.
you know,
Okay.
something for the inspection.
Let's see what Bill says.
I agree with Indra. I mean, there should be some inspection reports, but perhaps not weekly.
Right.
Can we say monthly inspection reports or
Bi-weekly, bi-monthly,
We could say monthly.
twice a month.
twice a month? Yeah,
Does that sound reasonable?
Is that bi-weekly? Is that
Bi-monthly. No, it's,
2 times a month?
no, yes, 2 times a month.
Okay.
Okay, inspection reports are due 2 times a month.
bi-weekly inspection reports? That would cut the cost down anyways. It'd still be a
Does that-
reasonable monitoring of what's
Does
going
it
on.
work for
Right.
costs?
It's not budgeted at this point. At weekly, we would estimate it's over $130,000 worth. So at
There.
monthly, it would be under $100,000, but it's still pretty significant.
Not going to cut it in half.
No. So we had a question with regard to what does it mean when the ground remains unstabilized? So there's this phrase, right? So I guess our question is, are you asking for these reports from the very start of the project until closeout, or until earthwork is complete, and then can we do it monthly? So
The thing is, we should have regular inspection reports during the time when the jurisdictional buffer zone is unstable. Does that make sense to you?
yes.
Does that make sense?
I think she was also partly wondering what unstable meant. When, I mean, if it's open, if there's ongoing work and it's not either seeded or covered with, jute matting or something, then it's unstable.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, this serves as the stormwater permit.
Yes.
And so the whole site
Right.
is subject to erosion controls.
Yes.
So, given that's the case, this is a large project. The project is costing the town how many million?
About 100.
100 million.
We get inspection reports from smaller.
I think it's reasonable that there should be monitoring for erosion control when any areas are destabilized.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable
Yeah.
approach. Bare areas that have not been stabilized.
I missed part of what you said, Larry, I'm sorry, because I was answering Lucy's question. How many what was
The entire site should be monitored
Yes.
as long as areas are not stabilized, or whatever that wording is that we use. Does that sound reasonable to you, Eileen?
That's, I think that's pretty much what our standard wording.
And I think that applies, because this serves as a stormwater permit.
Yep.
It's not just wetlands permit.
Understood.
Okay, bi-weekly.
Okay.
Everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Are we on the permit conditions now?
We will go over to them right now. Okay, so the plan references are going to be exactly the same as they were in the article, which Vivian is sending to me, or has sent me, and I will replace them. The first several of these, as I tell everybody, they are pretty standard. The work has to match the plans. In this order of conditions, the Commission has adopted the findings made pursuant to Burlington Bylaw Article 14. These are all standard, and they've all reviewed them. Let's just jump down to pre-construction conditions, which is saying, again, like we told the previous applicants, you need to be in contact with us a few days before construction starts, and Lucy and I will be out to visit to make sure erosion controls are in place, your DEP sign is in place, dumpsters or whatever other oil containment is all in place, including extra erosion controls. What your plans said, oh, that's why I highlighted. Your plans did say compost tubes minimum 12 inches backed by silt fence or orange construction fence and silt sacks for catch basins. That was what was in your details. Staked hay bales may be used as an alternative if you prefer. And then the sediment barrier shall be maintained in good conditions at all times. A construction entrance 50 feet long and 25 feet wide and consisting of specified crushed stone shall be installed at the location marked on the reference plans, and it was shown on, the location and the detail was shown on 2 different plans. At the end of the day, the applicant shall mechanically sweep or manually sweep sediments from all paved surfaces. Disturbed areas shall be stabilized immediately. There should be no dewatering in this site unless you have submitted and had approved a dewatering plan. No stockpiling of material within 50 feet of resource areas unless covered and stabilized. Silt sacks in catch basins within 100 feet of the work. No additional grading may be permitted without first filing a written request to the Commission, and we have the right to reserve additional erosion controls. The pollution control conditions are all perfectly standard, as we're talking about dumpsters, hazardous waste, fueling, and the amount of fuel that you're allowed to have on site, and pesticides, herbicides, fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of the wetlands as shown on plans referenced in this condition. Fertilizer may be used if it's a slow-release phosphorus-free fertilizer, and this condition will be noted on the certificate of compliance as existing in perpetuity. Here we also reference the same thing about the inspection or monitoring plans. So we are saying the Commission now shall submit a bi-weekly written report to the Commission from a registered PE, approved wetland scientist or other approved person. Let me just clarify that this usually is while work is ongoing. So if work, because with some sites, work entirely pretty much stops in winter. I don't think that will happen there, but then you can ask for a stay on the inspection reports, if that helps.
Do we contact you?
Yes.
In that case, okay.
Did you say
Thank you.
bi-weekly or bi-monthly?
Like bi-monthly reads is once every 2 months,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weekly.
That's bi-weekly,
so bi-weekly.
I think. Can't we just say every 2 weeks?
That's what the words say. Did I say something different?
Yeah, bi-weekly
Oh,
means
bi-weekly.
twice.
Bi-weekly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Our English is a little...
It's
Every,
always debatable what it means.
every other week.
It does.
I like Larry's better every 2 weeks. Go with that.
Yeah.
Throw that other
That's-
crap out.
I just put it in
I mean,
parentheses.
if we say bi-monthly, the choice is between twice a month and once every 2 months, but if we
Yes.
say bi-weekly, the choice is between twice a week and once every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
It's okay. I put parentheses twice per month as well, so
Okay.
that's clarified. The installation and or construction of catch basins, water quality units, and infiltration systems shall be certified by a registered PE. The applicant shall adhere to the long-term operation and maintenance plan. And we did put some details in here about what that plan says. For example, the drains shall be inspected 4 times a year and cleaned per the plan. And the property owner shall submit maintenance records to the Board of Health and Commission upon request. And shall submit documentation annually to the Conservation Commission, and that condition shall remain effective after the issuance of a certificate of compliance. Snow storage shall be according to the overall vehicular layout and materials plan, with a capital M, sheet, etc., and the stormwater management plans contained within the long-term stormwater operation and maintenance plan, and the O&M plan shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds with the certificate of compliance. The buffer zone and landscape management conditions, this is where we had actually mentioned about the trees. First of all, we said no invasive species shall be planted anywhere in Burlington. This condition shall be noted on the certificate of compliance and shall continue in perpetuity. You know what, I'm just actually highlighting that so we make sure that one's listed, because that's usually on the bottom. I'm putting it a different color for myself to remember. Oh, and that didn't work. Native trees and shrubs shall be planted per the approved landscaping plan. Plants within the resource area and buffer zones, this is what we just added, that are observed to be damaged or unhealthy during the first 2 growing seasons shall be replaced. Was everyone okay with that?
Yes, that's what we agreed upon.
Right. Meadow mix shall be used for the pollinator area. Oh, that was highlighted because I feel like there was a special name for it, and I was going to just make sure we have put the special.
Oh, what are we talking about? What was that?
Pollinator area. There was actually Ernst Seeds had a particular name for it, and I wanted to put the proper name in. I just.
Okay.
Why is the only highlight in this document meadow mix?
I just said, because the plans had a special mix from Ernst Seed that had a special title, and at the time, I just wanted to finish what I was doing, and I didn't get the exact name of the meadow mix, but I wanted to put that in. That's why it's highlighted.
Now I understand, thank you.
If anybody knows what the name is, I'll put it in right now. Was somebody speaking?
Yes, it's Kelly, sorry.
Yes.
I just want to be clear that you don't want us to change the seed type. This confused me a bit when I looked at the report.
No.
Because we have.
Okay. Go ahead.
We have the Messick to dry native pollinator mix, Ernst 105 seed mix.
That's what
is the name.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure we were staying with that. We weren't going with the facultative wetland meadow mix that is by the resource areas.
That's why it was highlighted, because I wanted to look up that exact name. Kelly, what was it again? Sorry, let's just get it done right now. What was it called?
Sure. So the name from Ernst is called Messick to dry.
Messick to, M-E-S-I-C, sorry.
M-E-S-I-C to dry native.
Is there a message? What? Message to dry native?
So I'm sorry, I'm trying to read what you're doing at the same time. So it's Messick to dry native.
Got it. Yes.
Pollinator.
Yeah.
Mix. And then it's capital ERNMX-105 Ernst Seed.
What was the dash 105? Is this right?
Sure. E-R-N is in Nancy, M is in Mary, X dash 105.
What did I miss after the Mary?
N-M-E-R-N-N.
N-M, sorry.
Right, so.
5, got it.
Yeah, I know, it's their funny naming. So E is in Edward, R is in Richard, N is in Nancy, M is in Mary, X dash 105.
Got it. I think we have it, and it's.
There we go. Yes,
Everybody
Ernst
knows
Seed.
what we're talking about. Okay, I wish I hadn't highlighted it now, but.
Sorry, I didn't make that any easier on you. I apologize.
I was about to ask you that. Don't you wish you didn't highlight that?
Yes. I should have just said, everything shall be per the plans and the whatever. Maintenance of the wetland meadow pollinator area shall be per the no-mow areas section of the long-term stormwater operation and maintenance plan. Mowing and fertilizing shall be avoided. Reseeding shall be with specified seed mix. Why didn't I just say specified seed mix? And watering shall only be during seeding/plant establishment periods, which is what was written in the plan. Invasive species management shall be per the invasive species management section and the weed guide of the long-term stormwater operation and maintenance plan. Maintenance is expected to be for 3 to 5 years after initial treatments. So we had a whole long discussion earlier about 2 years, but this is what I remember reading about 3 to 5 years. Wasn't that written in there?
Amy? Sorry.
Ooh, I'm going to have to pull that up.
Well, I took it from the, there was a lot of documentation.
There's so many documents.
So, I tell you what, I'm just going to put a note to say, staff.
These folks are going to look at it for final editing anyway for correctness, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Of this?
Of this, I think. just minor editing.
Usually, we usually fix it as per we've all agreed, and then we just issue it.
I thought
But
that-
in this case, we are going to work with them on the wording, okay?
Yes.
Just to make sure we're all,
Yes.
and you said you were okay with that.
Right.
Remember?
That's what I was
So
trying to say.
I'm just making a note for myself. Staff will work with applicant to add some additional wording so we're all on the same page. Okay. Just to this one condition,
Okay.
okay? And
If it helps, I did take notes while we were talking about it earlier.
Well, I had two, but Amy, let's you and I talk maybe tomorrow if that's okay, and Vivian, who.
That sounds good.
And we'll just get
Thank
it completely finalized tomorrow. And then certificate of compliance is just, you need 2 sets of as-built plans, a written narrative, and a written narrative from the landscape architect as well, certifying successful establishment of the plantings, including pollinator meadow. And I think there's more than just one perpetual condition, so we'll just double check.
All right. Can we move along now?
Yeah.
All right. All right, there is a waiver required for the no-build zone. Could I have a motion to waive the 20-foot no-disturb setback because, what should I say in the motion? Because what?
To allow for removal of the septic system and re-establishment of the area?
Okay, to allow for the removal of the septic system and reestablishment of said area. Okay. Second. All in favor? Okay, all right, we got that done. All right, could I, is there any other one in the audience that has any comments before I close the hearing? No. Could I have a motion?
Was that the only waiver we needed?
I believe so, I didn't see anything else.
Okay.
Could I have a motion to close the hearing on DEP file number 122-720?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? That's 500. Could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington bylaw, Article 14, for DEP file number 122-720?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? 500. Could I have a motion to adopt the permit conditions as discussed for DEP file number 122-720 under Burlington bylaw, Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. I think we're done. Okay? I'd like to just say, I think this project team did an outstanding job responding to our many questions and issues, and I think you have to be commended for doing such a diligent job in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that goes to the entire project team, as, you know, the people online as well. It's very well done.
So much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
You don't want to talk about seed mixes anymore?
Next, we have a continued public hearing, proposed stormwater regulations. Should we postpone that discussion perhaps to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for proposed stormwater regulations to the meeting of June 26, 2025? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Next is violation and enforcements, 0 Cambridge Street, parcel 35-115, vegetation and surface damage is the issue, and we got some documents, very late-breaking documents.
We did. Jonathan's online, so he's
Yes.
probably going to speak, but he and I did go out there last Thursday. So it's not like the work, we have reviewed it, not at the last second.
No, I mean...
We just got the words kind
The
of.
documents were just sent out, we just got them.
Yes.
And I know that you were there, I had, one of the documents was a picture of you in the picture.
Proof. I actually do occasional work during the day.
You occasionally work, yes.
So do you want to hear from Jonathan?
Yeah,
Or do you want to hear
absolutely.
from me? Okay.
Jonathan, are you here?
Hello, yeah, Jonathan Schuster from TRC.
All right, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, it was great to walk the site with Eileen and talk about some solutions to the ground disturbance and following up. And so just to rewind the clock a little bit, I was here, I believe at your last hearing, we produced a figure in an attempt to quantify some of the impacts and identify impacts to stormwater channels, which are of local regulatory significance, as well as obviously impacts to the buffer zone throughout that area. So when we were on the site, we identified some key areas where the channel would need to be reestablished in these stormwater channels. I'll note that some of them I'll call historic channels and some of them are more active channels. So when there's a storm on the site and water is coming out of that stormwater drain, it does direct through a primary channel. However, there are remnant channels which do hold water but are not channeling the majority of that water. So that's a separate issue, is how the commission might see those. We essentially want to repair everything. We want to repair any area that has a channelized characteristic. The approach we discussed in the field was by hand, so just via shovels, have a team of people to smooth over some of the areas where material has been piled near some of the boreholes from the geotechnical excavation, and then certain parts of the site that were soft that the heavy machine tracked through are kind of churned up. And so we would essentially reestablish the microtopography of the site. I will say there are areas that the machine tracked through where just some light seeding and perhaps straw mulch is sufficient, so we would not need to do any micro regrading, I'll call it, by hand. The other thing we discussed was the potential of, do we need to bring in a small machine, like say a Bobcat, to do some of the heavy lifting? There are some smaller stones and medium-sized stones, and maybe what you'd call a small boulder, that were churned up. So what we discussed in the field was temporarily kind of aggregating those, that they are endemic to the site, but now they're on the surface because of the disturbance. So as we smooth things over and seed it, some of that stony material could be aggregated in certain locations or in a centralized location. We proposed one primary seed mix to stabilize everything. It's mostly upland characteristics, so it's the erosion control mix for dry sites from New England wetland plants, and supplement that with their same mix for moist sites and detention basins where we feel there's a little bit more hydrology going on, and then using inert straw mulch as needed. I did produce, essentially it's just a sketch showing that figure that I presented to you at the last hearing, with some call outs of where we perceived that ground disturbance to intersect key areas.
Could you help also highlight, for the benefit of the commission, what the various legend designations mean?
Sure thing. So the broad green area that kind of has that bulbous part in the southeast of the site, that is a bordering vegetated wetland, so clearly state jurisdictional and local jurisdictional. The blue lines are I'll call them a refresh, an attempt to flag both sides of the channel of stormwater drainage channels that kind of flit in and out of surficial flow. So you'll have a channelized area, that water kind of maybe goes underground a little bit, or it fans out into less channelized areas, but essentially all that water that comes out at the northeastern corner of that site eventually gets down to the wetland. And over time, some of those channels have been more active than others. So those blue lines, the one in the north is more active, and also it reflects the 2018 assessment of the site that I was involved with at a prior firm. There have since been some hydrologic changes at the site, where the water is flowing out and kind of going in different directions. We wanted to assess, how do we repair these channels? That brings me to the red polygon, the red hatching, which is an approximation of the limit of ground disturbance. That includes some areas that are more minor, where we would just do a light seeding, other areas where the soil has been churned up by the heavy machine moving, so maybe there's, a foot differential between the low spot and the high spot, and we need to just kind of even that out, in those troughs by hand. The yellow lines are what I just drew in for the sketch, pointing to 4 key areas that we saw on the site where we would be retaining and regrading and reestablishing the channels.
Okay, and the blue cross-hatching at the top?
That is the local jurisdiction of the commission. So the entire site is under your jurisdiction. The green line with the tick marks, that is the 100-foot buffer off of the BVW. So the jurisdiction under only the WPA.
Got it.
And then if you count these locally jurisdictional stormwater channels based on the interpretation of your bylaw that occurred at the time of the 2018 ANRAD, the entire site is in your jurisdiction.
Right. All right, thank you. All right, so I guess this gentleman has finished speaking. Eileen, do you, what's your reaction, Lucy and Eileen?
Okay, so I agree with everything he said about, we were on the site, we looked at pretty much every bit of disturbance that was out there, I think, Jonathan, is that fair to say? I think we covered the whole area. And I also agree that there are a lot of areas that were churned up where it does need to be shovel fixed, and there's a few areas as well, I agree, where we both felt there was no need to disturb it any further, where there were just very limited disturbances. We could just seed those. The parts that are sort of questionable right now, which you just might want to discuss between you, were what he said about the stones. Quite a lot of stones were churned up in the areas where the drill rigs sat. So we could just scatter them around the site, which is sort of the more natural thing to do. Or we were sort of saying we could make some mini cairns out there, or they could use them potentially for, in a localized spot, then they could be used for future grading. The trouble I was having with that is we really only are talking about the enforcement right here and not future work. But at the same time, it's just stones. And the other thing was, the issue of the machinery. I don't like the idea of a small, something like a Bobcat going into the stream sites, but it would expedite the work. So I don't know what you think, whether...
Well, they can get small machines that have a soft track, can't they?
Caterpillar wheels, could they do that, Jonathan?
Some kind of soft track machine?
It's possible. So what I wanted to, what would be useful for my team is to sort of know the options that the commission is comfortable with, because then we have to execute this. And there's a couple ways that, the project team could elect to execute it. So knowing that we had options, that the commission was comfortable with some type of machinery, I could then take that to my client and sort of lay out options, manual only. We could talk to, the team that would be actually implementing this and kind of, get a quote. So I think, having that flexibility is great. I think it is possible that it could be done entirely manually, but I wanted to discuss, using, we could explore what type of small non-track machinery, we could get in there. Like low ground pressure type vehicles. The cost of that is higher than just your run-of-the-mill Bobcat. So I would say if we were to use a very small tracked vehicle, we would work in and out and back. So we would, repair as we went and get out of those areas which are already mucked up from a bigger machine and work our way northeast to the exit of the site. So, while yes, in some ways it's more disturbance, knowing that we had that option, using a small tracked vehicle in a judicious way could expedite it. But again, I'll defer to the commission on what you're comfortable with.
All right, could I propose to the commission that we delegate to our staff, when they develop their proposals, to approve at their discretion a low pressure or a machine that will have minimal disturbance effect at your discretion?
Are you saying it's at our discretion whether to allow them to use machinery?
Yes. If they propose something that's not going to make a big mess. I'm asking the commission how they feel about that. Sadie, how do you feel? You're out in the field a lot, aren't you?
Yeah.
So have you seen these small machines that are like low-pressure machines that don't disturb the site too much when you've been out there?
Not in wetland areas. The only place I've ever done that is we did have a couple bobcats with augers, but that was mixing sandy soil in a hazardous waste cleanup site, and they were pretty heavy. So I could imagine them putting a lot of pressure on the ground and the soil and any sort of like vegetation there. But I don't know. I mean, I imagine there could be smaller vehicles that could do the job as well.
Okay. Kent, any discussion? Anything further on this? Indra? No?
If it can be done by hand, I say do it by hand, just scatter the rocks in some random fashion and redefine the flow areas, and then seed and level out the rest. I mean, that sounds like a simple thing to me.
They could do it by hand. There were just some areas that were relatively significant disturbance. It would just be a little faster. But I do tend to agree with you, though, that the areas with significant disturbance were stream beds.
And they were caused by machines.
Right.
So what are we getting towards then?
I say just no machines, just do it by hand and scatter the rocks randomly without having to make a pile out of them or anything, and the other things that were discussed.
So
is fine.
Rob, you have an opinion on this?
I guess I just sort of think, sort of like, unpermitted activity, and we have an unpermitted restoration plan. So sort of keep it minimal.
That's a good way of looking at it. All right, looks like we're arriving at doing it by hand. I guess if there's an issue where that can't be done, you can come back to the commission and we can revisit it if it can't be done.
Right. So what he's presented tonight is fairly, like, it's not very detailed. Are you okay with this level of the plan, or do you need to see more detail? Or are you okay with us, with having that, and then we just work with him in the field?
All right. Sadie, any comment? Are you okay with what you've heard?
Yeah.
Okay, how about on the left here? Kent or Indra? Bill?
I'm fine with it.
Rob? Okay, looks like the commission is saying we don't need anything else.
That this kind of fairly high level.
This kind of outlines what is to be done, right?
Okay.
Does that sound right to you, Eileen?
I think so. I might want some extra words from Jonathan or Jonathan. Those 4 spots that you're showing with the yellow arrows, were they the 4 main? Sorry, not arrows, lines, whatever they are. Were they the 4 main sort of drill sites and stream impact areas? Was it just 4?
No. So the number of drill areas, I believe it was 7 or 8. There's quite a lot in the field, and one of the things we'll do is actually fill in some of the boreholes that they had failed to. So that'll be an added benefit that nobody will break their leg on the site. But no, the 4 areas we're calling out is where you and I were standing in the midst of these channels where their tracked drill rig had run through the channel. The northernmost that you see that's not pointing to a stream is where you and I were perceiving the current primary flow path that was sort of newly created, and we were sort of discussing, how, what we were going to do in that area to channel or not channel any stormwater that was coalescing.
Right.
So that's an area where we'll pay particular attention to the regrading.
Can you please just fill out your approach with just a few more words so that you and I can agree on something next week, but the commission seems to be happy with this high-level approach right now. Like, mention in words so that we have contractors that were filling in the holes, stuff like that. Okay?
Yeah, no, we can definitely add more detail, and I'd also say that, depending on your availability and time when we execute this, when we have your blessing, your involvement and kind of, if you're able to stop by and kind of, maybe we can, as we're looking over the details as we're doing it, I think that would only be a good thing to just keep you in the loop and apprised of our progress.
Okay, so do we need to take a vote at this point?
I think you should vote to accept this approach and allow staff to work with him on the more detailed nuance.
All right, I'd like to have a motion to vote support for the plan that has been put forth for 0 Cambridge Street, parcel 35-115, where vegetation and surface damage occurred, and that the applicant or their representative will work with staff to flush out any further needed details. Is there such a motion to that?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? 500. Okay, Jeremy, I think we're moving along here.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
This is Jonathan.
Jonathan, I'm sorry, right.
I knew what you meant.
Right,
Thanks.
that's it.
Bye-bye.
All right,
One of the J's.
all right, so we can move to planning board comments. Is there anything?
We will let them know that we have also are issuing the stormwater permit and the 2 orders of conditions tonight. No, sorry, I don't think the sewer work came in front of them, but the Fox Hill School and the police station had been in front of the planning staff, so we'll
So we'll let
just
them know
update
about
them
that.
About that, yes.
And in subcommittee and staff reports?
I don't think we have anything, unless you want
Anyone?
to mention about the visit on Saturday.
Other business?
We do have one little other bit of business. So, what are they called? Gutierrez misplaced a COC, and we are just asking if you would please re-sign it. You had approved it some years ago. This happens fairly frequently, where people just can't find the original, and we have to either produce a certified attested copy, true attested copy, or just re-sign it. So we thought it's easier to just re-sign it, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else under other business?
No.
Okay, the next meeting will be June 26th of the commission, and we will have one meeting in July. It's scheduled for July 10th. All right, so obviously if you can't make it, let us know. Anything further? Motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. Sadie, have a good night.